Okay, let's talk about that. Jim Crow lasted roughly from 1867 after the Civil War to 1968. Is there a specific period between 1867 and 1968 that you thought was this golden era for black families, or a time that was good for black families?
Joy, I never said that. And see, this is where the gaslighting comes in.
I'm going to read what you said.
All I was talking about was the marriage rates.
Stop. No,
Joy,
that's not what you said. Let's play what you said.
Play
what he said. Play what he said.
Families. You're saying I said it was the golden era.
I'm going to play. I'm going to play what you said.
I said that it was better for black families. I never said that. I said
play what he said.
Play what I said.
Play what he said.
During Jim Crow, the black family was together.
That's right.
During Jim Crow, more black people were not just conservative, because black people always have been conservative-minded, but more black people voted conservatively. And then H.E.W., Lyndon.
Welcome to Political Crossfire. Today, we're looking at a tense MSNBC exchange between Joy Reid and Congressman Byron Donalds over comments he made about black families during the Jim Crow era. Donalds insisted that his remarks had been twisted and that he was only talking about marriage rates and the role of fathers in the home. But Joy kept bringing him back to the same question: if Jim Crow is a system built around segregation, disenfranchisement, violence, and the denial of basic rights, why use that era at all as an example when talking about what was supposedly better for black families? Watch the full exchange, because afterward we'll break down where Byron Donalds' defense starts to fall apart, why Joy Reid's follow-up questions matter, and what the history actually tells us. Before we begin, please subscribe to Political Crossfire and turn on the notification bell. It really means a lot for the channel's growth. Let's get into it.
I am joined now by Florida Republican Congressman Byron Donalds. Congressman, thank you for being here. We played that lengthy segment. That is what you posted on your social media. The part of what you said that people take issue with is this line, which I'm going to read back to you again. You see, during Jim Crow, the black family was together. During Jim Crow, more black people were not just conservative. Black people have always been conservative-minded, but black people voted conservatively. But it is that during Jim Crow, the black family was together. That's what people have taken issue with. What are they missing?
Frankly, what's really happened is that you have, Democrats, and you have the Biden campaign, and some of the media want to twist my words for political purposes. The overarching issue is talking just about black families and why you're seeing a trend of black people leaning towards Republicans in this election cycle and probably in election cycles to come. And part of that, is that when you're raising families, raising kids, et cetera, you're now thinking about all of the public policy issues, all of the economic issues, all of the education issues. And that's leading people to have divergence in political thoughts. That was the only point. The stuff that comes up about Jim Crow and twisting my words, saying I was being nostalgic or saying that Jim Crow was good for black people, that's all political spin. It's a lie. It's gaslighting. And that's truly unfortunate.
So here's the challenge, Congressman. You started out talking about your family, talking about your mom, talking about being raised, and you on your own brought up Jim Crow. In fact, you said Jim Crow 3 times for emphasis. It wasn't the media or the Democrats or gaslighters who brought up Jim Crow. It was you. You brought up Jim Crow. So why did you use Jim Crow specifically as your reference? You did that. No one else did that. You did it.
Oh, I did. We were having a conversation, just talking as, black people in Philadelphia. But if you're going to use the chronological timeline of America before the Great Society and Lyndon Johnson's time period, you had, unfortunately, the Jim Crow era in America. During that time period, the marriage rates of black Americans was significantly higher than any other time since then in American history. So it is a divergence if you're talking about marriage rates in the black community. They have plummeted. And what we've seen recently in America, which is a very good thing we should all celebrate, is that the marriage rates in the black community are rising again. That's good for black families. That's definitely good for black children. It's something I want to see. I'm quite sure you want to see it as well.
Okay, let's talk about that. Jim Crow lasted roughly from 1867 after the Civil War to 1968. Is there a specific period between 1867 and 1968 that you thought was this golden era for black families, or a time that was good for black families?
Joy, I never said that. And see, this is where the gaslighting
I'm going to
comes
read
in.
what you said.
All I was talking
hold
about
on.
was the marriage rates.
Stop. No,
Joy,
that's not what you said. Let's play what you said. Play what he said. Play what he said.
Families. You're
play
saying
what he
I
said.
said it was the golden era.
I'm going to play.
Said that.
I'm going to play what you said.
I said that it was better
I'm going
for
to play
black
what you
families.
said.
I never said that. I
play
said
what he said.
Together. Play what I
Please
said.
play what he said.
During Jim Crow, the black family was together.
That's right.
During Jim Crow, more black people were not just conservative, because black people always have been conservative-minded, but more black people voted conservatively. And then H.E.W., Lyndon Johnson, and then you go down that road, and now we are where we are.
Okay, so now I'm going to go back. You said during Jim Crow, the black family was together. What was the authority of the black father in the black family during Jim Crow?
Well, listen, under Jim Crow, obviously, black people were under great persecution, unfortunately, by Southern Democrats and the Democrat Party overall in the history of our country. That's the fact. And so, well, let me finish now, Joy. And so having the black man in the home was about first protecting the mom and protecting the kids. Incredibly important. It was the leadership in the home, which is incredibly valuable. And I think what we're witnessing, obviously, the last 30 years, definitely through my generation, is black fathers being at home is incredibly important for the success of black children going forward. And it's not just a black thing. That's everybody. Fathers in home help to breed success for kids moving forward. That is a great thing for our country. That's something that has been proven throughout time. So what I'm talking about is not the golden era of Jim Crow. That's ridiculous. I would never say that. And that is the gaslighting that I'm standing up to, because that's what Hakeem Jeffries, the Biden campaign, Jamie Harrison, and the like are trying to bring up. And unfortunately, the media has followed suit with misleading headlines, and that's wrong.
Now I'm going to talk. Do I have a chance? Good. Now, you talked about the black father being in the family, being able to protect the family. First, I want to read, just for our audience, the definition of Jim Crow, just so we all know what we're talking about. Jim Crow laws were a collection of state and local statutes that legalized racial segregation. They existed essentially from the post-Civil War era. They were meant to marginalize African Americans by denying them the right to vote, hold jobs, get an education, and other opportunities. Those who attempted to defy Jim Crow laws often faced arrest, fines, jail sentences, violence, and death. Now I want to talk about something that happened during this era. You said that what you were talking about was the presence of the black father in the home to protect his wife and family. In 1943, in the state that you represent, in Florida, a young man named Willie James Howard, who was 15 years old, was lynched. During Christmas of 1943, Willie Howard sent cards to all of his coworkers at the Van Priest dime store in Live Oak, Florida. Unlike the other cards, Willie's card to Cynthia Goff, a white store employee, revealed a youthful crush. His greeting expressed hope that white people would someday like black people, and concluded, "I love your name, I love your voice. For SH, sweetheart, you are my choice." After reading the card, Cynthia's father, Phil Goff, brought two friends to the Howard home and demanded to see Willie. Despite his mother's pleading, the men dragged Willie away and then kidnapped Willie's father, James Howard, from work. The men drove the two Howards, to the embankment of the Suwannee River, bound Willie's hands and feet, stood him at the edge of the water, and told him to either jump or be shot. Willie jumped into the cold water below and drowned while his father was forced to watch at gunpoint. Willie's dead body was pulled from the river the next day. You said that during the Jim Crow era, the importance of having a black man in the home was to protect his family and to protect his wife. I actually spoke with somebody who lived through Jim Crow. Her name is Merle Evers Williams. And Merle quoted to me a man named Charles Silverman, who wrote in Crisis in Black and White, that in 1890, the year that the Mississippi Constitution was written, the policy of crushing out the manhood of the Negro citizens was to be carried out with success. So the man in the home during Jim Crow had no rights, could not protect his wife from rape, could not protect his son from lynching. So again, why would you quote that era and say that at that time, the family all being in the home together was something we should think of as a good thing?
Well, first of all, Joy, the story you bring up and you're bringing up is a tragedy, one of the great tragedies of the Jim Crow era.
I'm asking
this is
why
those policies
that
were
era.
they were disgusting and distasteful. All I
So
was
that
talking
era,
about, Joy,
what was the benefit
marriage
of a
rate
man in the
black
family? Again, sir, I'm sorry,
Joy,
I let
am
you
I allowed
talk
to
for a
talk,
long
or are
time.
you gonna
Sorry,
talk over
I
me?
only,
I'm
no,
just-
talk over you. You've gotten a
I'm
chance to
trying
speak
to
a lot,
respond to
Congressman.
what you
You're
brought
going to
up,
answer
Joy, and
my
now you won't
question
let
now
me
and
do
not
that.
filibuster.
That's
This is
what
the
I'm
question
trying
you
to
want.
answer, Joy,
This
but now
is
you're
the
cutting
question
me
you
off.
need to answer.
That's what I'm trying
If
to
black
answer.
men,
That's what I'm
hold on.
trying to answer, Joy.
Give me a
Are you going to
second.
let
Take
me
a
do
breath.
that? Are you
Take
going to
a
let me do it?
breath.
I would love
If
to do
a
it.
black man
I
could
would
not
ask you to do the same.
protect, it's my show. If a black man, a black father, could not protect his wife, his son, or himself from lynching and violence, how is him being in the home mean that that is an era that was better for the black family, or that we should think of as a good thing?
First of all, Joy, I never said that it was better for black people in Jim Crow. I have never said that. And even my own words say that. If you're talking about the importance of black fathers in the home, or frankly, all fathers in the home, it is always for the betterment of children to have leadership. Yes, for safety. So having two people in the home to help provide the economic needs for those children so the family can succeed. That is a wonderful thing. We should always get back to that, not to Jim Crow. And this is the point of the gaslighting and the lying that is occurring with what I said. Don't try to impose the fact that the marriage rates were better in the higher, I want to be clear, higher in the Jim Crow era to mean that I think Jim Crow is great. That is a lie. That is gaslighting. I would never say such a thing, which is why the Jim Crow era was destructive of black people.
You brought it up.
What made this exchange so uncomfortable for Byron Donalds was that Joy Reid did not need to invent a new argument against him. She simply kept returning to his own words. Donalds repeatedly said he was being misrepresented, but Joy's response was straightforward. He was the one who brought up Jim Crow, and he did it more than once while discussing black families, marriage, and political values. That is why playing the clip back mattered so much. Once the audience could hear the original statement again, the debate was no longer about whether the media had fabricated something. The real question became what Donalds meant by choosing that particular period as his example. Let me give you the documented history behind that, because none of it was accidental. In 1890, Mississippi rewrote its state constitution and wrote in mechanisms designed to strip the vote through requirements applied selectively depending on who walked up to register. It worked so well that other states copied the model over the years that followed. That was drafted, debated, voted on, adopted. Being present in a home cannot outvote a state constitution. He tried to narrow the conversation down to marriage rates, but Joy pushed him on something much bigger. What did family stability actually mean during an era when black Americans could be denied the right to vote, excluded from jobs and education, terrorized by violence, and denied equal protection under the law? That is where his argument became difficult to sustain. Donalds talked about the importance of fathers being present to protect their families. Joy then challenged that idea with the reality that a black father under Jim Crow could be present in the home and still have almost no legal power to protect his wife, his children, or even himself from racial violence. The Willie James Howard story made that point painfully clear. His father was there, he was present, but presence alone could not overcome a system that denied black families equal protection and basic rights. That is why Joy kept asking the same underlying question: if the era was so hostile to black families, why reach for it as the benchmark in the first place? He kept returning to the claim that he never said Jim Crow was good for black people, and technically, he did not use those exact words. But that was not the criticism being made. The criticism was that he chose that period as evidence for a point about family strength, and once you make that comparison, the historical context becomes impossible to ignore. You can absolutely have a serious discussion about marriage rates, fatherhood, family stability, and the challenges facing black communities today. But you do not need Jim Crow to make that argument. And if you choose to bring Jim Crow into the conversation, then you also have to deal with everything that came with it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments section. Subscribe to Political Crossfire for more political debates.